What's good, y'all? This is DJ Gary, and I am back. Don't forget to hit the like. Don't forget to comment, share your thoughts. Share this video. Let's get right into it. We're talking about Kendrick Lamar GNX album. What was the vibe around that time? What was my thoughts? Is it a classic? Is it everything it's cracked up to be? What is it a year later? And I kind of want to share my thoughts on my personal feelings, what I was going through, and kind of like give a round perspective of how this kind of reshaped what I was doing. So around this time last year, um, I was going through some stuff personally, and just um, putting my foot up on the things I need to do, doubling down, taking breaks from social media, you know, uh, not trying to get wrapped up into drama, people drama and stuff. And a lot of things was just kind of like just, trying to drown me. Um, so the night before, um, I was, doing some chores around the house, tidying up the place, and Ice Cube album had dropped. This is the Man Down album. It dropped, and I listened to about a good portion, about half of it, and then I was like, okay, I need to put this down. I'll come back to it tomorrow. Because, around that time after I was done, I was like, I want to get some rest. So then all of a sudden, the next morning, I wake up and I think it was around 9 a.m. or so. I look online and I see everything going haywire on Twitter. There's this thing about Kendrick Lamar just dropped an album. I'm looking it up. I'm like, where? And I go to his YouTube page and uh, it's there. And I'm like, so supposedly an hour before he dropped the trailer, but I didn't see, right? So it's crazy because once when I first, my thing was, you know, damn, this is what it is, this is how it's going. It was really a surprise because I wasn't expecting him to drop out of nowhere, right? You know, post battle, right? Because he won the battle months before. And so, we're all just waiting for a date. He already had announced the Super Bowl, and the party was watch the party die and all this stuff. So everybody's trying to figure out. He was getting a lot of hate for his Super Bowl thing. So, anyways, this happens. I click on it. First track. Right? And so I'm like, Okay, this is very dramatic. Whacked Out Murals, very dramatic opening. I remember thinking, what is about to happen? Right? Is this about to go into some like real like crazy type stuff? And then we hear synths, and he says, "Yesterday somebody whacked out my mural." Because in context, we heard about his mural getting whacked out in Compton um, a while back before this, right? So it just goes to show you he wrote this probably right after it happened. So that had to happen like what, September or something. I can't really remember. But anyways, he goes in it, you know, won the Super Bowl. Nas is the only one congratulate me. All these agitated, and he's just throwing these things out, and I'm catching him. You know, um, he's talking about old ass flows, trying to convince you that they're your favorite. The artist is quite dated. So I'm picking it up. I'm like, okay, he's throwing shots at people. I'm thinking of people who had an opinion about him, and he's kind of like he's to me. I feel like he's pushing some buttons on people. Like he's trying to he's like it's like he's throwing things out there so people could bite. So people go, hey, well, you trying to diss me? And so he could go and swarm and take their head off. When he says, use put the hair on the Cuban link, use it as a monument. I was just like he's still at it. Like he's still ready to catch a body. He already defeated Drake. He's still ready. He's still in his bag, war mode. What a way to open the album. I thought it was a clever way, right? And then segue into Squabble Up. I remember the Squabble Up. He put the snippet at the end of They Not Like Us. No, actually at the beginning of They Not Like Us. And we were like, what is this? And I wasn't really sure, we was like, what is this, right? And then so when we finally got it, because the only thing we had was like, what, half of the first verse? Reincarnated, I'll stargazing. Life goes on, eating all my babies. Woke up looking for the broccoli. I keep the horn on that Kamasi. IP, ownership, the blueprint is by me. Mr. Get Off, I get off in my feet. Like, that whole thing was just like that's the perfect way to seg into. It's like, yeah, this is, like, okay, let's turn up now. I just gave y'all the post battle PTSD of me, and let y'all know, but let's go and let's, still, squabble up. Let's let's party. And of course, he got his shots at Drake. Uh he couldn't try me in a tri-state. That, like, he's just so braggadocious. Like, he's braggadocious on this track. Like, it's so, like, classic. It's like, this man really turns it up on a 10. Um, I thought this was a good second track. Third track, it opens Spanish guitar, Luther. I'm like, okay, what is this? And then I hear the sample. If this world were mine, I was like, and then the beat drops. Hey, Roman soon elevator, drop it like it's hot. If this world was mine, take you in. Like, he really, like, just like, Roman little day, drop it like it's hot. If this world was mine, take you in. Introduce it. Like, it's a bop, it's a dance, it's a bop. Like, and then, long behold, SZA comes in. This world will go. Heartaches, she only do weekends, get it popping on the low. Betty's coming for sure. When I heard that, like, it opened like a new Patoro, like a new thing for me. Like, it really like took me out of my body because SZA sounded so good. Like, at first I didn't, none of the artists that's featured is listed. So when I'm hearing SZA voice, I'm like, that's SZA. And they do the whole, if it was up to me, I would invite no sympathy. I take away the pain. I love you everything. I think for me, the way everything was um, put together harmonically, like they harmonized on the track. You go in, wink right, do it, will slow slide. Like, they're going back and forth. They doing this, you know, it harkened back to, for me, like, this is kind of like what Slick Rick Teenage Love was back in '88 for people, right? Of course, that was a whole different energy, whole different time, you know. Um, but it's like, I'm sure what people felt when that came out, this is probably like what it was back then when this, like when this dropped. I'm quite sure it's people is probably like feeling the same type of thing. So for me, this is like a melodic rap R&B track, and it's beautiful strings, all of that. Like, it became my favorite track on the album, and I held it dear to my chest, like to my heart, like something of that nature. Anything with strings, acoustic guitar, a nice little beat, you know, harmonic vocals, harmonies, that really strikes a chord in me. And certain things like that, like, I could instantly like catch a tear. So I could like a tear would drop because I would find it beautiful. Like, this is like uh a beautiful track. It's very beautiful, and I think it was done excellent. So let's go to the next track, right? So the next track was you know, Man at the Garden was really like when I heard it, I instantly thought of One Mike Nas. And I was like, wow, okay, Kendrick is paying homage to Nas on Man at the Garden. Like for me, this was like his affirmation, like, hey, all these flowers I'm getting, you know, these congratulations from the legends, I deserve it all. You know, really, I did the work. I put in the work. I laid my heart, you know, on the platter of success. You know, um, that whole thing. Um, I deserve it all. That like words of affirmation, right? That's something like that's like some of the realest stuff you could ever say, right? Like you be in the mirror and you feeling yourself, you just be like, I deserve it all. Or you be like really um feeling yourself and you really like believe in yourself and people try to question your sanity, you just like, I deserve it all. Like when he says twice emotional stability, of sound body tranquility, I deserve it all. Like minds and less enemies, stock investments, more entities, I deserve it all. VVS, white diamonds, GNX with the seat back reach, I deserve it all. You know, and then at the end when he's like, he's like, uh, he's like, I he did it with integrity and these people still trying to hate on me, like he really like uh kind of like harkens back to Whacked Out Mirror, right? That whole post battle PTSD thing that's going on. you know he really like carries that throughout the track. um there's that moment when he's doing the track Hey Now. I thought Hey Now was a great record. Um, with Dottie Six. At this time we're still discovering the album. We don't know who's on these tracks, but Hey Now, Say Now, All By My End. Like his, it's still braggadocious. If you crash out, you better break the backboard. I put a square on his back like he jacked up. Like that whole thing. 1,000, 200,000 flow. The black know I just strangled me a goat. Like come through with the parapute flow. Um, it, to me, like it was a bop. It was like he's really sliding on this beat. He really like, what you wearing, bro? Is tacky. He's on their deathbed trying to match me. Oh, yeah, I'm about to do the fool. They be screwing out P, but their resumes boo. Switch both lanes sound like the zoo. Like he's really like he's giving the West Coast what we need. Like that's what I got from it. You know, the I'm way too important, I'm way too important, I'm way too important that you ever saw me. And then Dottie Six coming. Who I feel like Joker. Harley Quinn sitting with the blower. It gets spooky every day in October. On Torpedo, like they're going back and forth. At first, I thought it was YG. I'm like, is that YG? You know, like who is this? But Dottie Six was, you know, found out Dottie Six was on there. It was a good track. You know, I thought he did his thing on there. Like he really did his thing. And then so after that, you know, I started thinking like, damn, what's this next track? And then we got Reincarnated. Boom, 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 boom. When I first heard that little, I automatically like, I almost like moved off my seat. Like I was sitting down, I almost moved. Like I was like my head sat up, eyes wide open. I couldn't believe Kendrick sampled made ends from Tupac and Outlaws. It was just crazy for me. I was just like, and he comes up, I got this fire burning me. Yeah, that's it. Like, I'm shedding skin who used to be every day. And he's telling the story of like these blues singers, you know, jazz singers, seductive vocalists. You know, when I first heard it, I'm like, this is some different type of storytelling. What is he doing? Right. And then he gave two perspectives, and then the third perspective was his. And when the beat switched up, and he's like, my personal life is Kendrick Lamar, the only rapper, like, that really, like, struck a chord within me. Like, it modulated, and I couldn't believe that. Like, and then he's like, he's putting himself in the devil's story, right? And it was kind of crazy because, you know, I've heard, you know, the story of, you know, how Lucifer was a talented guy or a talented angel, and then, you know, he envied God, and, you know, he could play all these instruments, sing every key or register, but then one day, you know, he was casted out of heaven. So I kind of knew that story. And so when Kendrick is putting it together, I was just like, you know, like this is the wildest stuff ever. But, you know, it took some guts to really be on a Tupac beat, come with some real some fire storytelling, and keep the energy up, and keep the listener's mind entangled, because nowadays, you know, the mind is so like, if you don't put a hold on the ear, like within 10 seconds or 5 seconds, the attention span goes elsewhere. So I could see how he was doing this album. The next track, TV off. All I ever wanted was a black Grand National. Yeah, with the F. Boom, 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 boom. It's not enough. Um, More braggadocious. You know, um, the way he's like, you know, I fell through with the knickknacks. Hey, young, get you chilly up. Yeah, I meant that. Black out if they act out. Yeah, I did that. Hey, what's up, though? Hey, only they go broke. Hey, like he's just like he's switching it up. He's like really putting the listener at an advantage of like, you know, I feel like he entitled because he knew me as a kid. Which I cut my granny off if she don't see it how I see it. Like he's saying these funny, like these real but quotable funny things is like um I'm getting sugar free vibes, I'm getting E40 vibes, I'm getting all type of very west, this is a very west coast sound project. And then it goes switches up, mother on the beat, mustard, and he's screaming mustard name. And then he sprinkles some of Biggie lyrics in there. And then the outro, crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious, crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious, crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious. I'm just like, who is that? Who is it? And then we found out Lefty Gunplay. And I just was like, to me, like that's one of the hardest outros ever. Crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious, crazy. Like those little simple 4 bars changed the world. And it's crazy as I'm listening to the album, I'm on Twitter at the same time. And I'm looking at like the songs is charting. Like Whacked Out Mills is like number 1, and then TV Off I think is like number 3, and then like it's going crazy at this point. So I wasn't really sure like, hey, what's going on? Like it was just charting crazy. Um the next we got um Dodger Blue. Dodger Blue is an interesting song because you know just that count that like that's a hell of a way to start off, put that 4 count in there, kind of like Pharrell, right? And what I like about this song is they did not say, hey, for West Coast, let's sample computer love. See, I think they railed against that. I think that might have been. I think he sampled computer love in the past for a song that didn't get used. But I'm glad they shied away from it and they say, hey, let's make an anthem where we don't have to use computer love. And I think they did just right. And Kendrick on this project, way down to watching. Is it? Guys, them in the comments. Like, he's very melodic. You know, um, on my kids' eyes, like he was up. Have you ever ran fake, ran through more back to back? If you ever, then should keep it rap. Like, he's talking about his homeboy. He talking about LA. He's mentioning these schools. He's mentioning uh, these very like LA things. Like, this is a LA anthem, and then it's like he put like a you know, like a dance, a counter like that. Walk, 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 tip, toe, pivot, walk. And I thought that was pretty cool. Like, he made a song where people could make a dance to it. And, TikTok ran with it. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, right? So within that, you know, Sensei, Wally Sensei out there was in there. Slate 7 times. Rowdy Rich. I think that it was pretty good, to uh, have those people in there. Still keep it West Coast, still keep it what it is, right? And then we have Pickable. Now, this was the song that I thought was better than Hey Now. What they talk about? They talk about nothing. What they talk? They talk about nothing. Huh? Pickaboo. I just put them boogers in my chain. Pickaboo. 80 points like a Kobe game. Pickaboo. 762s and make them plain. Pickaboo. I'm popping out. You better slap my name. Pickaboo. Put 2 forms on 4 5. Pickaboo. Catch your pepper head. Do a pasta. Pickaboo. Why you acting tough on IG Live? Pickaboo. You know my love with their eyes. Pickaboo, surprise, it's that boy Chuck E. Cheese. Let me FaceTime my ops. Yeah, I'm up the street. He is AZ, put something to sleep. He on the ground, praise God, start something feet. I put 10 on that face, my shooter plan. I have running back, I took a hand. It's like, man, but I'm on your top. That don't look back like that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm rapping the whole thing, but every time I hear that, I'm just like, and when I found out, like, who it was, I'm like, yo, this dude is just incredible. Like, I felt like the chemistry here was much more tighter, much more um it was much more tighter, it was much more synastry was on point, better than Hey Now. The Hey Now chemistry. They both good songs, but I like Pickaboo way more, just as like probably just as much more, and then Kendrick with the hey, like very sugar free-ish, very humorous. Um man, I wish a video was for this, and then come to think of it, it now is used in a Gatorade commercial. Kendrick performed it at the Super Bowl. Like, it really went on and did monumental things. And then, He performed on stage with AZ Chite. So continuing on, um, Heart Part 6. You know, when I heard it, when it went bling, 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 ba-dum, 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 load up the Pro Tools. He's watching World Stars, not the SP. As a, you know, like he's setting it up like, you know, he's giving you his POV of what's happening in the room. You know, watching B Pumper, my stomach hurting. I get up and perceive or write something. Absol, uh, 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 you know, he said Absol, Black and Mild, breaking down Kush, till you broke a smile. Um, studied my pen. You know, basically to be like him. And you know, he's paying homage to the guys in his circle. You know, he's talking about, you know, J Rock. You know, it wasn't he. They went to Warner Bros. For a label meeting. It wasn't his record deal, but he felt just as good as J Rock. So it wasn't a jealous thing at all. It was more so like, hey, I'm happy for my homeboy, you know, because if he's on, I'm on. Like, that's what it was. And then, you know, he's talking about, you know, Punch play Phil Jackson during the early days and how Top Dog seen him and was like, hey, you know, let's go back and record 3 more songs. And like he's talking about, you know, Moose kept his name in the function, kept his name alive, and you know, Schoolboy Q didn't rap, but he learned from the inspo. You know, um, it's a hell of a song. You know, and he's sampling SWV, Use Your Heart, um, which is like one of my favorite SWV songs, along with You're the One for Me. I thought this was really a calculated move because of the, you know, not only because it's a classic and, you know, Pharrell wrote it, produced it, with, you know, the Neptunes wrote, produced it with Tammy Lucas. I thought this was a pretty good calculated move because, you know, Drake had said on the song Family Matters where he's like, um, you mad about Pharrell, tell Pharrell come get his legacy out of my house. And, you know, you know, Kendrick already said, like, hey, I inherit the beef. You know, whatever you got with Pharrell, whatever beef, I inherited. So I'm going to, you know, uh, basically, you know, look out for Pharrell. And so that's why Drake was like, oh, you want to take up for Pharrell? So when he destroyed Drake, and so them sampling this was, I think, the homage to Pharrell. Like, hey, you done so much. You, because Pharrell helped him with It's Gonna Be All Right. You know, Be All Right is probably one of Kendrick's greatest songs in hits off of To Pimp a Butterfly. and Pharrell believed in Kendrick, so getting that Pharrell co-sign meant a lot, and Pharrell was really locked in, and you know, Pharrell really Pharrell appears. I think Pharrell was on Good Kid, Mad City, like Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly. Then he was on uh, Mr. Morale, and so I think this was, like I said, the Heart Part Six was a good track. I really would love to see a video to this. I feel like this whole album could be a short film. I really feel like this whole album could be a short film, really. So we got GNX. It was kind of like a strange beat, strange production. You know, I don't, I don't necessarily know if Kendrick believed in it, but he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna give y'all a hook." I'm like, what? Hi, have you ever been a joint? You know it. I'm the dead guys. I ain't going back. Hey, I'm the dead one. Chill in a nigga like like red crumb, like peso, young peso. I think peso did a hell of a job opening. Uh, I love that line. He's like, "I broke a heart. You the type to go and fix it." Yeah, like that's some of the realest stuff ever. Um, I love Peso verse on here. He set it off. They hit a J3, came in there. Uh, Hello suicide, you don't wanna do, man. The door slide. I was 13, I have a line Papa Chain 14, like some difference. You know, to hit a J3, like he slid on here. And then uh Young Threat. When Young Threat came on there, and Young Threat was like, it's getting down to the wire. Want to get out. Like, to me, like, he's the most convincing guy on the track. He made me feel like whatever he talking about doing or whatever, he really did that. Shout out to Young Threat. Young Threat. I was checking out some of his music. Uh Young Threat really did that. Like, tell Young Threat did it. Like, uh that whole thing going back to back, like this getting tired. Like he really like set the tone like for the ending. So I could see why they put him towards the end. It made sense to close it off with Young Threat because his energy was really just great on this track. Like, people don't give him enough props for his verse and his delivery on the track. I thought it was fire. I thought he was one of the best ones. Uh, he they all stood out, and I think he had the underrated uh, verse. So let's continue on. I don't want to be able to go over 50 minutes, but it might. Right. So I'm just getting my thoughts out. Gloria. Right. Suntaros. No. The Mexican uh, singing lady, uh, that's on there. And then it comes in. Ding, 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 ding. Me and my bitch got a complicated relationship. So go controlling. Like, I thought that was like when I first heard it and I listened to the lyrics, I'm like, okay, he's talking about his girl. Sister Gloria, wanna take you to Euphoria. Gloria, I see you been. Like, I loved SZA singing on this track. She kills it. She crushes it. So Kendrick goes through the verses. Baby, when I took you to Africa, and then SZA does that. You know, I breathe the Caribbean. This I gave you hustle. I gave you power. And for me, I'm just like, SZA really delivers her voiceover with so much enthusiasm and so much like grit. I was convinced. I'm like, damn. So and then when he's like, remember when we caught that body wiggle through the system, and so he's like, he's telling the story, and then he's like, ain't no bitch like my bitch because that bitch been my pen. I'm like this. I'm like, he made a love song about his pen. I'm thinking he talking about. At first, I thought he was talking about Whitney. I was convinced he was talking about Whitney. And then it ends, and uh, I was just a great project. Is it a classic? Yes, it's a classic. And Kendrick used the Super Bowl to sell it as a classic. Like, he really used the Super Bowl to sell the album, and he went on tour with it. He killed it on tour. He pretty much, a year later, it's a classic. It is. It's a classic. I mean, this is him off of TDE. This is PG Lang. He really set the foot in stone that he was his own guy. And I think people kind of forget, Kendrick Lamar is a talented guy. He really put some West Coast vibes on here. He really sold it. And this was a great album, to follow up to, because the West Coast was winning. And so I think he did a good job articulating what was need to be said. Of course, when this was released, there was a lot of D writers. There was a lot of hate. You had some East Coast people. Some people were saying it was mid. You had some East Coast people saying, "Oh, it's not a good album" or whatever. I think this was a good album. He didn't he didn't need to give us another Damn or another Mr. Morale. I think he just wanted this to be out because it is essentially us. It's the West Coast. And, this album made me proud. Like, yeah, he did his thing. West Coast is winning. And I think it's a testament to his legacy that he won. He won the war. He won the battle. The album did good. The album did great. It stood out. One of the best albums. I probably played GNX probably that whole week it dropped, and I still play it. That was all on my YouTube list was GNX. I thought this was a perfect album. I know this video is over 50 minutes. I'm sorry, guys, but I just had to get my thoughts out. Probably like one of my longest videos ever. But I hope you guys listen to the end, and I hope you guys learned something. Let me know your thoughts of how you guys was feeling. Yeah. I thought the samples was on point. I thought everything was on point. Yeah. He really won. All right, guys, I'm out.